Welcome to Frank and Upfront. I am your host, Mr. Franklin. A very special welcome to all of you who are joining me here on this podcast. I invite you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I am especially elated at the official launch of my new visual format for this podcast. And I invite you to enjoy the graphics. Today's topic is Maslow's hierarchy listed in the correct order? A brief history on the life of Abraham Maslow. Abraham Maslow was born in Brooklyn, New York on April 1st, 1908 to Jewish immigrant parents from Kiev, which was then a part of the Soviet Union. As a young boy, Maslow was bullied in school, and he decided to become a bodybuilder. His interest in bodybuilding, however, did not subtract from his naturally slender stature. And so therefore he endured bullying for longer than he would have hoped. Not only did he endure bullying in school, but also in his home as well, particularly at the hands of his mother, who was described as being narcissistic, self-centered, a racist, and who took out her daily frustrations on even her own family, who was incapable of loving anybody, including her own family, who had very few friends. And one can only imagine that his mother's behavior partly contributed to the bullying he had to endure in the wider society during his early life. As a young man, he attended many colleges, including Brooklyn College, where he studied sociology. It only makes perfect sense that the social misadventures of his early life would compel him as a young man to study sociology and to create his famous hierarchy that is now used today as a base of inspiration for many people's life journey and ascension to their maximum potential. The Maslow hierarchy was created in the 1940s based on what was then a limited understanding of human needs. Human needs in 2020 far exceeds the chart that was outlined by Maslow's hierarchy. Nonetheless, we can use this chart as a means of inspiration as to how one can plan their life. The common rule of the hierarchy is that one cannot achieve a certain level unless the previous level to that level has been accomplished. But therein lies the problem. It is not a stringent rule. Therefore, the rule can be broken, can be deviated, can be tweaked around to your own unique experience. You alone, you and only you is best aware of your situation. Therefore, even though you're using the hierarchy to base your, even though you may be using the hierarchy to base your life, upon which to base your life, you can go at it in any particular order, which is the subject of today's podcast. Let us look at the list. Let us look at the hierarchy in precise chronological order. Starting with level 1, the physiological needs. That's the basic need for things like food, clothes, and shelter, and water and air, and sleeping. The need to sleep. Then we have level 2, the safety needs. Needs such as personal security, employment resources, health, and property. Then we have level 3, a need for love and belonging, for friendships and intimacy and family, and a sense of connection with others. Then we have level 4, the esteem. Esteem would come with self-respect and respect for others, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. Then, finally, at the very top, is self-actualization. After all the other steps have been accomplished, one is now confident enough to pursue one's maximum potential. As far as these steps being listed in the correct order is concerned, let's go over these steps carefully, starting with the physiological. Number 1. There are many physiological needs that it is impossible in this world to provide those needs without money. Food, clothes, and shelter cannot be acquired without money, and people in today's society get money through means of employment. But yet I see employment listed in the safety needs. Number 2. Wouldn't one get employment first and then get food, clothes, and shelter? But then again, it takes you spending money to make money. So the provisions of physiological needs will come at the very prime of one's life, as one is coming of age as a teenager and still living at home with one's parents. Your parents are supposed to provide food, clothes, and shelter for you while you're a minor. And if they can't provide that, they ought not be having you in the first place. Only when one is capable of providing for another human being, a full, complete human being separate from oneself, should one actually reproduce. Which is why I'm even wondering why reproduction is at level 1. This is what I'm talking about. Reproduction should probably be in level 3, love and belonging, right where intimacy is listed, because from intimacy comes childbearing and reproduction. So then, apart from air and sleep, the other needs will be provided for you by your parents until you can get on your own 2 feet as a grown-up and then get employment, for which you can then provide food, clothes, and shelter for yourself. As far as air is concerned, assuming we are breathing clean, quality air, air is free, it's a given. God forbid the day that the government outlaws breathing and forces us to buy artificially produced air being sold to us in gas tanks. It sounds absurd, but with the world we're living in, it's not very far-fetched. I digress. And then sleep. Sleeping is also free. One does not pay to sleep. Where I live in Los Angeles, you have homeless people sleeping on the street corner in Skid Row. Are they paying to sleep? No. The question is it a good quality of sleep? Are you sleeping in a safe environment, and are you where it's warm and there's climate control? Or are you sleeping but not quite resting? Sleeping for the sake of survival but not quite resting because you're not safe nor comfortable. One can pay for comfortable sleep that comes with being in shelter, in a home where there's a warm mattress and climate control. One can pay for that. Apart from that, sleep is free. Air and sleep are free. Food, water, clothes, and shelter. One needs employment. But based on the theory that one's parents will provide physiological needs for that person until one comes of age and can therefore stand on one's own 2 feet, I can see where employment can be listed in level 2, the safety needs. Once your physiological needs are met, you can then go forth and level up to safety needs. And one can start by getting a job so one can provide for one's own self, especially if one no longer feels safe and comfortable in one's parents' home. One can perhaps get, with the money he gets from his job, he can get an apartment in a safer neighborhood where he feels safer and doesn't have to hear gunshots all hours of the night. One can maybe buy one's own car so one is less exposed to people stalking them, which is not to say that it's impossible to be stalked while driving a car. But there's a less chance of you being in danger for you being less exposed. And plus you can move about quicker, so if you feel that someone is following you, one can move faster than they would on foot. Having a car is definitely safer than walking. Then there's health. One now has the means by which to join the gym. Another one listed here is property. Money is a form of property as well. One can use resources and property to look after one's health, to join the gym and work on one's fitness and one's health. One can afford to go to the grocery store and buy more leafy greens than to buy austerity type foods that is not serving them. So one can work on one's health at level 2. They're safer and they're healthier by the means of acquiring resources and property. So they're now driving than versus walking. They're now living in their own apartment in a nicer neighborhood than living in a crappy apartment on the wrong side of the tracks. And one is now able to buy more healthy food options at the grocery store than buying what they can afford, what they could once afford. And one is now able to work on one's health and fitness by enrolling in a gym. All of this is acquired through employment. I can see how safety needs would be listed. I can see how employment will be listed as a secondary to the very basic of food, clothes, and shelter. That's not what really has me questioning Maslow's hierarchy. It's levels 3 and 4. Let's get into it. Love and belonging. Apparently, one is not able to level up on the hierarchy, on Maslow's hierarchy, unless they accomplish the previous level. With that said, assuming of course that I believe it to be true, that one couldn't level up, it would be safe to assume that you can only accomplish esteem after you accomplish a sense of love and belonging and a sense of tribesmanship. That's what I have a problem with. That's what I question. Because insofar as I understand it, esteem comes from within. Esteem is something you acquire as a sense of accomplishment for something that you do on your own. It is very true that esteem can come from a sense of love and belonging. I am not disputing that. But is it wise for love and belonging and a sense of tribesmanship to be your only source of esteem? Right? Is it wise for you to rely on others for your sense of esteem versus your esteem coming from within? Take for instance your tribe. You don't know what their intentions are. If they do not have your best intentions at heart, and you allow your tribe to define you and your sense of reality, you are allowing yourself to be gaslighted. Esteem should come first before love and belonging. Esteem comes from within. And if one is not strong enough for esteem to come from within, then one should at that point turn to the Creator. You should only turn to yourself. You should only go within or go to Source for your sense of esteem. At which point, only when and only when you have a full, complete understanding of who you are, separate and apart from the tribe, can you then go forth in search of your tribe. And as a matter of fact, you don't even have to go in search of your tribe. Your tribe will find you. They will sense your energy. You will radiate at such a high frequency that those of like mind, members of your spiritual blueprint, will sense your energy, see what you're doing, and come find you. And when they find you, it is for you to have the discernment to determine if their intentions are pure, and you can move forward with forming a tribe with them. I am not saying that a sense of belonging is not important. I am saying it should be important at the right time. And if you're still working on developing your esteem, especially if you're coming from out of a low vibrational place where you had none previously and you're working on it, you shouldn't have the interference of a tribe trying to define who you are as you're trying to define yourself. Your sense of belonging, or rather your pursuit of it, should only come after you have a solid foundation in your esteem and who you are. Because then and only then would they not be able to influence and change you and put you in the wrong direction, where you were not meant to be there in that direction. Discernment comes from having esteem and developing your esteem on your own. Discernment also comes from studying people, so you're not going to be totally isolated. I'm just simply saying you can study people in the wider society while also exiling yourself from finding or having any sense of belonging until after you discover yourself. This is especially true if you're a young man just starting out in life, just leaving home and getting your own place. And if you're starting out in a big city like New York or Los Angeles or Chicago, you have the opportunity to study people everywhere you go in public, who are not members of your tribe, for you have no tribe yet. Your tribe can only come from developing your esteem on your own, and only then will you and other tribe members within your tribe agree that both parties are the right fit for each other. I imagine that those other members of the tribe that you will eventually belong to, will be doing the work on themselves as well during a period of self-imposed exile. Working on their discernment as well, to make sure that you find the right people. A sense of belonging and tribesmanship, your friends and your family, and the person with whom you'll procreate, is so tediously important that it should be handled with the kind of care that requires you building your esteem first. We live in a shallow, superficial society full of clout chasers. Everybody is fake, but they want to be seen. Let me give you some advice on how to be noticed. If you're into clout chasing, you can't just feel entitled to people's company and expect to be worshipped and you haven't accomplished much in your life. The best example of that are the the thirsty simps in our society. The men who people refer to as thirsty simps. Dating coaches often say that these men are so entitled that they're chasing women and have nothing to show for it. And the dating coaches advise that the best way to get female attention and validation is to not chase them, but rather to get on your purpose, get on your grind, do something really cool, and the women will come to you. That's true, but it's true for people in general as well, not just females. If you are searching for clout in this world, do something really, really cool with your life, and people will notice and come finding you wherever you are. They will feel your energy radiate, they will feel your vibrations, and they will come find you, and they will want to be a part of it. But you can't feel entitled to clout and people's company and people's attention, and you haven't really done much with your life. You have nothing to show for it. It's like these men chasing women, for example. It's a pity they don't realize that the woman is only a reward for you doing the work on yourself and accomplishing something. The universe is allowing these men to be single by their work to allow them to work on themselves uninterruptedly, and they don't even realize the opportunity that they have for them being single. They're too busy being thirsty and chasing women, and expecting their self-esteem to be fed by them having some arm candy hanging out their shoulders. It's a very true but unfortunate reality that many men literally feel like a pile of fecal matter if they do not have some arm candy hanging off their shoulder. Sad but true. They shouldn't need females to validate them so they can feel like they're somebody in society. That comes from within. My advice to those men, and yes, it's very true that there's some very empty feeling that they get that was induced or was taught to them in their early life that made them feel as though they need female validation to feel like they're worthy. They need to find out what that is and do the work on themselves. And when, and only when, they no longer feel empty without a female validating them, only then will the skies of the universe literally open up and bless them abundantly with everything they've ever wanted. On the opposite side of your fears is everything you could have ever dreamed of. It gets greater later. Many of you young men out there, you have a most endearing future. But it starts by doing the work on yourself. As scary as it may seem, it really does get greater later. And then level 5, self-actualization. I believe I covered self-actualization while covering esteem as well. By doing the work on yourself, one develops the esteem that they need to realize their maximum potential, for which they will then attract members of their tribe with whom they can build, including their very own queen with whom they will procreate. So really and truly, if I were to relist or reorder Maslow's hierarchy, it would be level 1 physiological, level 2 safety needs, level 3 esteem, for which one will develop the confidence to self-actualize at level 4, and then level 5, the ultimate level, is to build your tribe. Or perhaps, for me personally, my self-actualization comes from linking up with like-minded people after doing the work on myself. If you agree with this take, please feel free to discuss it further in the comment section below. Next week's topic: the purpose of envy. I hope you join me then. I am Mr. Franklin. This has been Frank on Upfront.